Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Corner, and welcome to this horror TV series summary wrap up and top top 10 episode video for Tales from the Crypt in the 90s. If you've been following my channel, you know I've watched and reviewed all 7 seasons over the last couple of months on my channel. So if you haven't seen any of those, go ahead and check them out. But today we're going to go ahead and put a bow on this series and on this um, this 2 month series in the Tales from the Crypt series, basically. So I have all 7 seasons here in the box set, which I think I showed in my initial interview. And obviously, as I've gone through each season, I've shown the individual DVDs. But that's the box set for Tales from the Crypt. So the way this is going to work is first, I'm going to give you my bottom 5 episodes of the entire series, and then my top 10 episodes, favorite episodes of the entire series, with a number of honorable mentions that I have to throw in there. Then I'm going to rank all 7 seasons from worst to best as I see it. And then I'm going to give you my overall thoughts and summary of the entire series. So that's how we're going to put a bow on this series, Tales from the Crypt from the 90s. Um, so yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it, starting with my bottom 5 or least favorite episodes. So my fifth least favorite episode, or worst episode, if you will, from the entire series is going to be Report from the Grave. And I believe this was a season 7 episode towards the end of the series. Um, yeah, I'm not going to say a whole lot about these episodes. They were on my worst and best once we get to the top 10 of each season that I went through. So if you want to know more about them, go ahead and check out those individual season review videos. But Report from the Grave was just kind of a forgettable episode and a pretty ridiculous premise to boot. I was kind of bored by it, to be honest. So that's my fifth worst episode of the series. My fourth least favorite episode of the series is one that a lot of people seem to like. It's the only episode a lot of people seem to like from season 7, the last season of the series, and that's the third pig, which is the last episode of the whole series. It's an animated episode. I really didn't enjoy this. I didn't even think the animation was all that good, to be honest with you. It was a sort of a dark horror take on the Three Little Pigs, grim fairy tale, and I don't know, it just didn't do anything for me, and I really didn't enjoy this, especially as a way to close out Tales from the Crypt. Maybe on its own it would have been fine, but as a Tales from the Crypt series, this really didn't fit. And like I said in my review video for season 7, it really just put a stamp on this series coming to an end. Um, so yeah, so two episodes from season 7 to start out the bottom 5 list. My third least favorite of the entire series is For Crying Out Loud. I want to say this episode was from, I can't remember the exact season. I think it was 2, 3, 2, or maybe season 3. I can't remember for sure. But For Crying Out Loud was just a pretty forgettable episode. It didn't feel like a Tales from the Crypt episode about he's a guy that is like a he like owns this rock and roll group or something, and this is the one with Katie Seagal in it, and this is also the one where the guy's got a mind of its own, literally. Like his voice comes through, and it's kind of one of those where he does something bad, and his conscience is trying to get him to take it back, or I can't even remember, to be honest. That's how forgettable this episode was. So For Crying Out Loud, my third least favorite of the entire series. My second least favorite or worst for the entire series is Food for Thought. This was a season 4 episode, I believe, 4 or 5, maybe it was 5, I can't remember. But this is the one about like the circus show, and you have the one guy that basically abuses his wife by reading her mind and making her do things she doesn't want to do, and then she falls for another guy that's involved in the circus, and yeah, it's just a really forgettable, over the top episode that didn't work for me really on any level. It has Ernie Hudson in it. Yeah, I just didn't enjoy anything about this episode, if I'm being honest with you. So, Food for Thought, that's my second least favorite episode of the entire series. And then the worst episode, though, for me for the entire series is The Pit, which I believe was a season 5 episode, if I'm not mistaken. This was the least Tales from the Crypt. It's about these two like MMA or boxing fighters who apparently they're two good guys, but their wives and their managers are really the villains in this episode, if you will, and it's set up where they have to fight each other till the death at the end of it. And yeah, it's just there's nothing Tales from the Crypt about this episode, The Pit. And it's the episode of all of them that I enjoyed the least, and that's my worst episode of the entire series, The Pit. So yeah, those are my bottom five episodes. I should mention before I move on to my top 10, guys. I'm fighting off a cold here, in case you probably noticed. So if you see my eyes watering, or one of my eyes I know is droopier than the other, if I cough or have to blow my nose, that's why. I do have liquids here with me in case I have to clear my throat. But just wanted to throw that out there that I'm not at my 100% best, but I wanted to go ahead and do this video while I had the chance. So moving on to my top 10. So first I have to start with, and there's probably even more honorable mentions. I mean, this series has like 90 some episodes, and I think like 50 or 60 of them are really good in my opinion. Um, so yeah, I could have done a top 20 if we're being honest about it, but I said I was going to do a top 10 at the beginning, and I wanted to stick to it. So I'm going to mention a bunch of episodes here that didn't make my top 10, but are really, really good episodes that I really enjoyed. So they are Creep Course, Only Skin Deep, Yellow, The Trap, Lower Berth, Smoke Rings, Stared in Horror, Mute to Witness, The Ventriloquist Dummy, Till Death, and I think that's it. Like I said, I could have mentioned more. There's a lot more episodes that are really good that I gave a 3.5 out of 5 to or better, but I can't write them all down. So those are my honorable mentions, though. So now we'll get into my top 10 favorite episodes of the entire series. Number 10 is going to be the only season one episode that I have on my top 10 list, and that's Lover Come Hack to Me. This is the one with Amanda Plummer from season one. Yeah, just a really good atmospheric episode with a good twist, I thought. Not a great twist, but a good twist. It's got a lot of gore in it. It has some really creepy dream sequences in it. And I thought the performance by Amanda Plummer was one of the best of the show, to be honest with you. And that's the reason why Lover Come Hack to Me is number 10. It's one of my favorite episodes of the series. Number 9 is going to be Ease'll Kill Ya. This is the one with Tim Roth, who, funnily enough, my 10 and 9 episodes have Tim Roth and Amanda Plummer, who one of my favorite couples from Pulp Fiction. But anyway, Ease'll Kill You. I believe this was from season 2 or 3, where Tim Roth plays like a pretty dark artist. He basically draws paintings from like real life tragedies and murders. And I just thought, again, this episode had really great atmosphere. It was hard to every time Tim Roth was on screen, he just owned it. It has a good twist. It's really creepy, and it's just a really great episode. Ease'll Kill You. Um, my number 8 favorite episode of the series is Horror in the Night, which is from season 7, the last season. Um, this is a really good ghost story, a good atmospheric ghost story kind of episode where you have these two bad guys. I can't remember if I think they're hitmen, and one of them turns on the other, and then the one that gets turned on ends up hiding out in this hotel, and then he keeps running across this woman that only he can see and hear. This one has a really good twist at the end. Really good atmosphere. Again, really good atmospheric episode, as a lot of these are on this top 10 list. But Horror in the Night is my number 8. Number 7 is going to be my only episode from season 6, and that's The Bribe. That has a really good cast, led by why can't I think of his name now? This from The Stepfather, Terry O'Quinn. You got Terry O'Quinn. You've got the guy from NYPD Blues name, Ezra Isai Morales. I think it is Ezra Morales. He was also in Ozark, the first season. You have Kimberly Williams Paisley here, and you have um, well, what's his name? Uh, Benicio del Toro in a very early role for him. But The Bribe is a really good episode, a really good unfolding story with with great twists, with some really good blood and gore. Really good dialogue between the characters. I just really loved this episode. It was easily the best episode from season six, which in my opinion is where the series really kind of went over the hill a little bit. But this episode definitely stood out from the rest for season six. So my number seven overall favorite episode is The Bribe. Number six is going to be from, again, I can't remember what this season, if it was two or three, but it's Top Billing. This is the one that had John Astin in it from the Addams Family, and also John Lovitz, who's an out of work performer and actor. He's really good in this. John Astin's really good. The entire cast is good in this. But basically, John Lovitz is down on his luck. His girlfriend left him. He lost. He doesn't have any work, and he stumbles upon this audition for this kind of over the top theater production show, and maybe my favorite twist of the entire series, to be honest with you. But the performances, the atmosphere, it's shot really well. Top Billing is definitely one of the creepiest and best episodes of Tales from the Crypt. And I ranked it as my sixth favorite episode from the entire series. Now, getting into my top five, guys. My fifth favorite episode is going to be the first episode from season two, entitled Dead Right. This is the one with Demi Moore and, oh, I can't think of his name. Shoot, this is going to bug me. Just a second. I have to look at my notes, guys. Uh, Sorry about this. I probably should have been a little bit better put together here, but crying out loud. Well, I'm sure it'll be the last one that I find here. Jeffrey Tambor. There, I guess I just needed to sort the papers to remember. But Jeffrey Tambor and Demi Moore really own this episode. They're both fantastic. The episode's really creepy. And I take it back. Top Billing is one of my favorite twists. I think Dead Right is my favorite ending twist of the entire franchise. Or the entire series, sorry. I just love it because it works on so many different levels. It's so perfect. Basically, this takes place in like the 50s, I think, and Demi Moore's kind of a money hungry, looking to marry for money kind of woman, who loses her job, but then goes to this fortune teller who tells her basically, you'll marry and he'll die right away, right after you marry, you'll inherit money, something like that. Money will be inherited, and it just the way it's phrased, and oh, I just love it. I love this episode, everything about it. From Jeffrey Tambor's look with how creepy it is to Demi Moore's performance and his performance, and just the overall atmosphere and twist at the end. Dead Right is definitely a must-see Tales from the Crypt episode from season two. My number four favorite episode from the series is People Who Live in Brass Hearses. Um, I can't remember if this is from season three or four, but I know it's the one that has another great cast. Once again, you led by Bill Paxton and Chucky himself. Oh God, names are escaping me today. You know, the voice of Chucky, Brad Dourif. That's it. And their chemistry is amazing together. I just love their chemistry. But People Who Live in Brass Hearses, it's a great episode with the Ice Cream Man. Again, has another fantastic twist. One of the, probably my third favorite twist of the entire series. It just works and really comes out of nowhere. But this episode, it has a little bit of humor to it, but the chemistry between Bill Paxton and Brad Dourif is the best thing about it. Plus the twist. Plus, there's some blood and gore in this episode. It's just really good. A really good Tales from the Crypt episode. Um, You know what, guys? I'm going to check something here quick because I think I left an episode out of my top 10, which I can't believe I did. Yeah, I sure did. Okay, so I'm going to have. So my number three spot's going to have an A and a B, unfortunately. So I guess it's my top 11, but I can't take any of these episodes out. So I'll say 3A is going to be Two for the Show, which was my favorite episode from season five. This is the one that has the sort of the Hitchcock, the Strangers on a Train vibes to it, where a guy basically ends up murdering his wife when he finds out that she's going to leave him, and has been cheating on him. And he tries to, it's a really good cat and mouse game. Again, fantastic chemistry between this guy. The actor's names escape me right now. This guy and this policeman who's kind of on to him, and they end up running into each other at the train station, and then they end up on the same train, and it's good stuff. But he basically he basically has to like cut up his wife after he kills her and fit her into this trunk, and they're on this train, and the chemistry they have and the back and forth between them is, I could watch it all day. It's fantastic, just fantastic. But yeah, two for the show is the best episode of season 5 in my opinion. You have to check it out. It's a phenomenal episode with again a great twist, a typical Tales from the Crypt twist that works really well. My 3B is going to be my favorite episode from season 4, which is What's Cooking with Christopher Reeve, Bess Armstrong, and Judd Nelson. Again, you'll notice with all these episodes, they all have a great cast for the most part. At least 90% of them do. But What's Cooking is my favorite. Like, I guess if you want to say horror comedy episode of the series, because it is kind of played for laughs. It's a very dark horror comedy, though. What's Cooking is about this guy and his wife who are restaurant owners, but they basically have a restaurant of the most ridiculous foods that nobody's interested in. And Judd Nelson, they run across him, and he tries to help them out, and it turns really dark, and it's just very good with how it unfolds. Again, another great twist, another great Tales from the Crypt twist to end it. But yeah, What's Cooking is absolutely a fantastic Tales from the Crypt episode. That's my 3B. So my top three. Number three, I'll share an A and a B. There's just too many damn good episodes of this series. So number three is going to be What's Cooking, and two for the show, which I can't believe I left off my top 10. It just goes to show you how many great episodes there are. Number two, my second favorite episode of the entire season, is going to be another one of my other favorite episodes from season 4, and that's Split Personality. This is the one with Joe Pesci. Enough said, basically. But oh god, this is a great episode. Joe Pesci's at his absolute best in this episode with his dialogue, with his acting. I've never seen him in anything that he's been bad at. It's amazing. He's one of the best actors of all time. I kind of feel bad that he kind of retired and doesn't really act anymore, because he's given us so many great performances, and I feel like it's kind of a waste that he's not putting more out there. But every role he's ever stepped into, whether it's been TV show, movies, you name it, he does it, and he's just fantastic in this episode. But this is basically about he's like a con man. There's also a cameo by a couple of like mobster movie actors, Burt Young, at the beginning of this episode. But he's a con man. His car breaks down. And he runs across this weird looking house with these two twin sisters in it, and he pretends to have a twin brother. So he basically just dresses himself up as a different version of himself, so he can marry both of these girls who are rich and well off, basically. It's fantastic. Just thinking about this episode, I'm getting the chills. I just love it. Another great twist, not surprisingly. So, Split Personality came very close to being my favorite episode of the series, if I'm being honest about it. But my number one episode of the entire series, which is probably not going to be a surprise if you watched my season 3 um, review, is going to be Morning Mess. This is my favorite episode of the entire series because I think it's the scariest. It's the one that has the most nostalgia for me, because it's one of the first episodes I remember being introduced to for Tales for the Crypt. It has Steven Weber in it. It has ghouls in it. It has a great, great twist, which maybe some people can see it coming. It might not be the best twist of the series, but it really goes dark. It's really creepy and scary. It has great, great makeup effects, great practical makeup effects, great gore effects. Steven Weber's really good in the episode. Yeah, Morning Mess is just fantastic, and that's why at this point it's my favorite episode of the entire series. So there you have it, guys. My bottom 5 episodes and my top 10 episodes, plus about another 10 honorable mention favorite episodes from the series. Now I'm going to go ahead and rank all the seasons of Tales from the Crypt. So I'm just going to go from my least favorite or worst to my favorite, just like I did with the episodes. My least favorite season of Tales from the Crypt, probably not surprising, it's most people's least favorite. It's going to be the last season. Season 7 of Tales from the Crypt is the least favorite of the season. Now, I'll be honest, I don't think it's quite as bad. I think there's just a lot of meh episodes, just a lot of episodes that I left thinking, that's okay. Not great, not like horrible, horrible, but they're not good. But that being said, I did have two episodes, obviously, that I really enjoyed from season 7. One that was in my top 10, and one that was in my honorable mention. Honorable mention. So, yeah, season 7 is going to be at the bottom. Then I'm going to go with right before that, season 6, which only really had one great episode, and that was The Bribe. And for my money, um, or I'm sorry, season 7, Smoke Rings was the honorable mention. Season 6 had a few good episodes. Only Skin Deep and Stared in Horror, which were honorable mentions, and then The Bribe. But other than that, yeah, this is definitely these two seasons. You could tell it went downhill. Um, so yeah, that's my sixth favorite. My fifth favorite's going to be the very first season of the series, where they were still trying to find their way a little bit. They only had 6 episodes as well, so that makes it kind of hard too. Even though there were some really good episodes from season 1, including, of course, Lover Come Hack to Me, which was my number 10 favorite episode of the series. But that's gonna be in the fifth spot. My fourth favorite season is going to be season 5, which is a really solid season. Then we're gonna go with season 4 as my third favorite. Then we're going to go with season 2 as my second favorite. And my favorite season for Tales from the Crypt is going to be season 3. This was a season that I really had a hard time. I think I gave every episode a 3 out of 5. I don't think I gave any less than 3 out of 5s for the season. So the quality of season 3 was really top notch, and obviously having a couple of my top 10 favorite episodes coming from season 3 made it an easy choice for my favorite season. So yeah, that's my ranking, guys, for episodes, bottom, top, and for seasons for the entire Tales from the Crypt series. Just some final thoughts about the overall series. Obviously, the thing that separates Tales from the Crypt from other horror anthology shows on television, like Tales from the Dark Side, Night Gallery, even Twilight Zone, even though that's not a full blown horror series, is the fact that this was made and aired on HBO. So because of that, this show is basically like an R-rated horror anthology series, where the other ones were more like PG-13, like Tales from the Dark Side, and I mean the Twilight Zone's more PG, I would say, and Night Gallery as well. Um, but yeah, this one they don't hold back on the language, the cursing, the nudity, the sex, the drug use, the gore. They can kind of get away with all of it, and that's sort of what separates it from the rest of the horror anthologies. I think overall it's a really solid horror anthology. The first 5, let's put it this way: seasons 2 through 5 are all-time classic television. Season 1 is good as they're trying to find their way. There's a drop off with season 6 and 7, but I can still find some enjoyment in a few episodes with those. Um, but overall, I'm really happy to own this box set, to own all 7 seasons. And this is a series that I'll definitely have no trouble revisiting. But yeah, like I said, the other thing, of course, that makes it stand out is John Kassir and being the voice of the Crypt Keeper. He does a fantastic job. The puppetry of the Crypt Keeper obviously gets better after the first couple seasons in terms of his movement and what he's able to do. That's definitely, and also the opening theme's really cool for the show. It really gets you in the mood. I should mention that as well with the great score. But John Kassir, this is really his show, and it's a well written show. A lot of great performances, a lot of great actors and actresses that showed up in this series, either before they became big, during the time that they were big, or maybe after in some cases that they were big. But yeah, what can you say? Tales from the Crypt, awesome horror anthology series. I definitely recommend it for anybody that hasn't seen it. So that's going to do it, guys. After 2+ months, we're going to wrap up this series here. I know it's been a challenge with moving in the middle of this. I thank you for all staying with me during this series. I'm glad we were able to wrap it up by May 3rd here. Stay tuned for my next video, which is going to introduce my May horror series on my channel. But that's going to wrap up my March, April, and into May horror TV series, Tales from the Crypt. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel, hit the little notification bell down below so you don't miss any of my upcoming horror content. Please like this video as well. And hit the little notification bell, subscribe, make sure I cover all my bases. I hope everybody's doing well, but stay scared. Oh, by the way, before I finish off, go ahead and put your favorite episodes of the entire series down below in the comments, and your least favorite episodes or the worst episodes as you see them down below. I'd really be interested to hear them. So thank you for watching. Stay scared. Bye.